right, good morning and welcome to whatever it is you're watching here. My hat's a little bit fucked up. Um, it's not too often anymore that a comment pisses me off, but there's a guy that commented here and it kind of, maybe I took it wrong. I don't know, but it pissed me off. If I took it wrong, I'm not sorry for what you're about to hear, but I am annoyed. This annoyed me. So, like I said, I don't generally let things bother me, but here we go. This is by Hawk Music 6392. So if you're watching and you don't like what I'm saying, you can kiss my ass. I really don't care. I'm trying to keep this channel on a positive motion, and the things that I see happen in my country, the United States of America, I see what's happening right now. And I feel that we are now turning a corner into a positive U.S. First situation here for us. Okay? United States first, America first, making America great again. Yeah, it's going to hurt some people. Believe me, it's going to hurt some people. Hopefully not too many in this country, and a whole shit ton more in other countries have been fucking us for a bunch of years. So I'm going to read this thing, and you can tell me if I've misunderstood this, but I read it once. I didn't read it twice. I'm going to read it a second time. So Mr. Hawk Music 6392 writes, reciprocal tariffs would work only if the United States still had industrial base. Unfortunately, we don't manufacture anything worthy of mention anymore. I find that to be totally asinine statement, like an uneducated person. We do manufacture here. We manufacture a lot more than most people are willing to admit to. It's just we have stiff competition by people that do it cheaper with cheaper products and create a cheaper product in the end, sold to people that are too tight to actually pay the value of quality, because we're in a throwaway society. Now, we weren't always in a throwaway society, but we are today because we're used to getting junk. You know, there's nothing wrong with having a sturdy piece of equipment, whether it's a washer, a dryer, a stove, or anything else that you have in your house, that you can actually buy parts for and repair easily. But today, they don't even want to make parts after 5 years. You know, a computer, this computer that I'm working on, this is an Apple computer. Yeah, it was made in China, but it was under stringent rule. And I bought it in 2012. So what are we at? 13 years old? Still cranking along. I can't buy parts for this anymore from Apple. I have to buy them from an aftermarket when I do have a problem, and I have had problems. Okay, therefore we can't compete with the industrial output of foreign markets. The reason we can't compete with the output of foreign markets is because we allowed our industries to go to these places to have crap built for 25 cents on the dollar, literally 25 cents on the dollar, if not 2 cents on the dollar. It's probably 2 cents on the dollar, because we'll just use the third world country that I'm familiar with, my wife's country, the Philippines. 500 pesos a day. That's a good payday. 350 to 500 pesos a day. So we're looking at 10 bucks, 10 bucks a day, anywhere from $7.50 to $10 a day. Anyway, you take $7 to $10 a day is what they are doing. Now, can I fault them for wanting to work? No, not at all. Do I fault our government for allowing these things to go there? Yeah, I do. I think the U.S. government should have never allowed other countries to be enriched by our country. How about we make ourselves rich again, you stupid ass? Okay, even raw materials are imported into the USA for the small amount we do manufacture. Yeah, the labor market here is absolutely stagnant, as we as well, and unable to compete with billion population that Southeast Asia and India. Like I said, you know, $7 to $10 a day of work in the country that I know of. I'm sure in India and China, it's probably like $2 to $5 a day, right? Right? They're not going to be able to buy American goods. No, they're not. But we don't need to buy their junk either. There's so many things that I have in this house that I don't even want to be in here that will not last 1/100th of the time it would have lasted if it was built here in the United States. So if you want a washer and dryer, can you buy an American-made washer and dryer? I'm going to ask this question. I know we can because I know who makes them. Speed Queen. Speed Queen makes washers and dryers in Ohio, I believe. They're more expensive, but they last. They last a really, 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 really long time because they're made here in the United States. So if you want to buy a washer and a dryer, buy a Speed Queen. Don't buy this Samsung. Don't buy anything other than something that's made here in the United States, because everything else is just, it's made cheaply and it's not made to last, and they only make parts for a few years and then boom, you're out the door. So this guy's attitude really sucks, if you ask me. He is stating negative stuff as if we are at the end of our rope and we're never going to be able to bring it back. Well, I know somebody that's trying to bring it back with great opposition from a certain bunch of idiots that vote Democrat because they're fucking stupid. You know, we've got a drug abuser that they idolized, George Floyd. We've got a man who walked up behind a guy who he didn't even know, put a bullet in his back, Mangione, and he is idolized by the Democrats, by the left. Who else? Oh wait, drug boats coming in to kill over 100,000 people a year into this country, and we got a president that's willing to actually take it to the source, which is kill them before they get here instead of, try and track them down after the death of whatever loved one you had, whether it's an accidental overdose. You know, there's scores and scores of people. There's a website dedicated to this. I think it's Forever 17 or 17 Forever. I'm sure that was the name of it. People that asked for an aspirin from their friend, beautiful young girl, 16 years old, dead because she took an aspirin for a headache and it had fentanyl. Well, this is my hat. What's with your ass? Anyway, so yeah, this is my baker's hat. It's my baker's hat, and I like it. If you don't like it, you can kiss my ass too. I really don't care. Under the free market economic policies, it's highly likely that corporations and businesses will invest in re-industrializing. It's highly unlikely that corporations and businesses will invest in reindustrializing the U.S. economy because it's not profitable. Well, you've been living under a rock, you stupid bastard. So, reindustrializing the United States. Yes, the Rust Belt. What is that, Michigan? Like where we used to build all the cars, you know? It was really a rare sight to see a Toyota, a Nissan, or anything like that, Volkswagens, when I was young. Now it's rare to see a Ford, a Chevy, or even a Dodge. Why is that? It's because there's no tariff entry into the country, whereas there's no competition. You know, it's just here in the United States, we got labor laws, we got unions that you have to pay huge dues into them. You have all these things that have to be paid. Health insurance have to be paid. And we're competing with companies and countries that don't have any health standards, any insurance, any retirement, anything that they have to pay for, and they're allowed to bring their cars into the United States. Yeah, they're good cars, I'm not going to lie. Anything that comes from Japan is pretty good car. Kia's, South Korea, not as good, but a good second. China, thankfully we don't have any Chinese cars because they're just stolen technology from everybody else anyway. And they're probably pretty good, but we don't want them here. So when you're competing with that, you have to do something to level the playing field, right? Which, in my opinion, the smartest thing would be a tariff. So if you're only paying your workers 25 cents an hour or 5 cents an hour, or whatever the hell it is during the course of a day, $10 a day, $5 to $10 a day, versus the, $250 a day for a U.S. worker, $300 a day, not including all the other things that go on, like retirement, health insurance, the worker standards that are in the factories here. You can't compete. So you take those people that are doing it dirt cheap and they're selling their cars here, undercutting U.S. manufacturing because they don't have to comply to that. They can kill 7 guys a day. There's going to be 7 people to take their place because there's no other work other than that factory. And that's not my problem. right? It's not my problem. My problem is that you think that you can't bring back a country that has been allowed to bleed out by shitty politicians and shitty companies. And then at the end, and the end is really what pisses me off the most. Unfortunately, the tariffs will blow back in our faces because we cannot compete on industrial output. We traded a production economy for a consumer economy long ago. Well, why was that allowed to be that way? So a consumer economy, well, the consumers has got to get their money from someplace, right? I mean, we can't all be on welfare, right? Unless you're a Somali in Michigan where you've and you know, they're talking about $1 billion in theft from the welfare system in Michigan. That's a year. That was a year. They're not tacking it on. This started in 2017. Yeah, 2017 in Michigan. They started scheming this thing in 17 in small scales. And now the one, the autistic one, whatever the hell they're called, not Feeding Our Future, those people, they're small potatoes at $450 million a year stolen. 400, that's just one. The other one for the autistic kids, that was over $700 million a year since 2018. Over 700. I think by 2020 they were at 700 million. Ridiculous numbers. It is billions. It ain't 1 billion. It's $1 billion or more every year since 2018. Wow. Talk about some money. Okay. The only thing the U.S. produces and exports, well, are Ponzi schemes and venture capitalism. So, capitalism, greatest system ever. If you don't like it, you're an idiot. If you think socialism works, go to Minneapolis, Minnesota, because that's what happens. Politicians allow scammers and theft and what is the other word I'm looking for? And then they get kickbacks to allow it to happen, to turn their head the other way while this all happens. So, and that's what socialism is. Wait until Mondami takes over New York here in a couple of weeks, right? So Mondami gets sworn in as the mayor of New York City. Do you honestly think he's going to work for nothing or work for the same wage that the lowly person that voted him in is? I've already heard that he's going to increase the pay raise for a mayor because it's a dismal amount of money. But yeah, just wait. Hold your butts, ladies and gentlemen. There's schemes already going on there. And I think, personally, I believe that this whole Minnesota thing is the tip of a much larger iceberg. Because there's people all around that have been blowing the whistle on this thing that were just, don't worry about it, we know about it, it's no big deal, forget it, it's not a thing. And now that it is a thing, there was somebody from California saying, we've been saying the same thing for decades. If it's $1 billion a year in Minnesota, it's 100 times worse than that. I mean, we got $5 billion for a railroad in California, high-speed rail line, that made it, 200 feet? Not even a train. No tracks, just a little bit of concrete. Where did that $5 billion go? Where did $5 billion go? Who knows? So, Mr. Hawk Music 6392, if you're watching this channel, you need to unsubscribe, move to Somalia. That's a good place for you. You move to Somalia. Make your music over there. See how those people treat you. You idiot. The only thing produced and exported are Ponzi schemes and venture capitalism. I think there's a lot of people that even watch this channel that manufacture stuff and have manufactured stuff and work for manufacturers in this country that think that you're the type of person that needs to pack his bags and move away. Just get the hell out of here and take the Somalis from Minnesota with you, because you know what? They learned how to, they were allowed into our country under refugee status. They exploited and were allowed to do it by the Democrat Party. I'm going to call out the Democrats on this one. If you're a Democrat and you're watching this thing, please argue with me. I would love the argument, because I think you all are really stupid. So fishermen that fish with plastic drums filled with an unknown powdery substance. Wonder what that is. That's the new type of fish bait. And I'll tell you right now, for every boat that gets blown up, I don't feel sorry for one of those people that are driving it. I really don't. I feel more sorry for the fish that are affected by the dope that's getting put into the water, because I'm sure millions and millions of those are dying. Millions and millions of fish are probably dying. Oh yeah, and it just blows my mind. If And this is a fact, if Donald Trump came on and said that Charles Manson should have died a much more miserable death or whatever, the Democrats would want to revive him and put him a statue of him up in California there someplace. Because Charles Manson really was a good guy. How about Adolf Hitler? Was Adolf Hitler? I mean, they love throwing the Nazi word around, and fascism and Nazism. George the President and people like myself, we're not fascists. We're patriots. We love this country. We want to see the country do well. We want to see agriculture do well, because we got to feed ourselves and feed other people in the world that can't feed themselves. We want industry to be thriving, because that causes an economy here that isn't the welfare state that we've become, right? The welfare state, that's all they want to do. Give money away, give money away. Well, eventually that pot runs out. And I can't wait for it to run out, to be quite honest with you. I can't wait for it to run out. It should run out. The U.S. Department of Agriculture should shut down. They should just call it the U.S. Department of Welfare. Because the majority of the money that goes through the U.S. Farm Bill and the U.S. Department of Agriculture that gets to disperse all this shit, they're probably on the take as well. What a bunch of useless assholes they are. But, hey, who am I? I'm just some dumb farmer from New Jersey wearing a chef's hat that got really upset about a stupid comment by a moron known as Hawk Music 6392. Don't listen to his music. It sucks. I listened to it. I thought it was shit. Yeah, well, I don't listen to music anyway, but that one there, I'm sorry. If you got that kind of an attitude towards this country, you need to move. Just get the fuck out. We don't want you. Just go find some place that you think is better. I've been around the world a little bit. Not a lot, but a bit. I've been to third world countries. I've been to first world countries. We all have our own problems, right? But you're part of the problem here in this country. Why don't you be a problem solver instead of a problem maker? And support the problems we have. That's all you do is support the problems you have. Whatever. I don't care anymore. I'm tired of ranting over this thing. There's usually a lot of good people that comment on my channel and on my videos, and I think it's great. But every once in a while, I get a fucktard, and that's just what you are. I'm sure you're going to comment on this one too. Have a nice day.